Hi guys, so IMRC time. So what I was doing, I was filming this and it's turned out to be a longer episode than I thought. So what I'll do, I'll just do this one on the IMRC, and then in a few days I've got 40 minutes of the next episode after that filmed, doing the rust and clay bar on the car, all these other stuff, aircon pipes. So I'll get that one out to you in a few days, but I'll just do this one on the IMRC. So basically the situation is, it's off the car. The video is, I'm basically going to take the lid off and we're going to see what we can see inside there. I'm not by any means a electronics expert. I'm sort of struggling to find the names of some of these things, so if I get them wrong I do apologise, but basically it's just running through what I've seen in my particular one. There are some other really good videos out there to have a look, so probably if you're going to do this I'd watch all the videos and sort of make your own mind up about it really. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. I should say as well, I did a couple of posts about this on Instagram, a couple of other platforms, and you guys have been absolute great help. Loads of comments, loads of interest on it, and you guys are really knowledgeable and have really helped me out with this. So yeah, thank you very much. Right, so let's get the lid off and see what's what. Okay, IMRC, so presume not working. I'm going to take the back off this, change the usual bits, check it all over, put it back together, and then when the car is running we'll plug it back in and see what's what. Turn it over, take the lid off. And that's what we got inside there. So we've got the circuit board there and all the cogs, motor there, and we need to get this little transistor behind there. I think someone's been in here before because it looks like something's been adjusted there and something's not quite right there. So, and also that lid came off very easily as well. So I reckon this one has been open before. But let's take the screws out and see what we can see. Okay, so it looks like the glue has already been cut away around here. So I'm just going to go straight ahead and lift out this board. Come out with the motor. Oh yes, lots of lovely problems with this one. So one of them, I haven't seen this before. This is a resistor that has actually, seems to have broken clean in half. I don't know how that even happens. And yeah, I mean, this hasn't been changed, I don't think, but there is a few issues here. And then we have the gearbox spring here is not properly connected. Someone's tried to weld it before, but yeah, we have some problems. I'm not sure whether this one is savable. Oh yeah, and the bloody screw is broken off from the transistor mount as well. So yeah, that's a lot of problems with this one. So yeah, if I can track down that that resistor, maybe change that. I don't even know whether that'll still be working, but the actual unit certainly isn't working. So yeah, there we go. So the plan is now, what I'm going to do is get the soldering iron, turn this over, take these bits out, and then have a look around online, make sure they haven't got any other writing on them that I can see, and see if we can get the same parts, put them back in and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to get the soldering iron and take out the rectifier and the transistor, and yes, I have just burnt the top of this table, so that's a good start. So I'm just going to heat the joints up and then take the solder out with the solder sucker. Just be careful not to cook the board. Okay. It's almost free. Okay. That's one half of it free. So yeah, it has broken completely in half. Crazy. Yeah, that was loose, but the second you take the heat off it, it just, yeah, there we go. There we go, straight out. Let's have a look at that. They came out okay. There's no board damage. Solder came out nicely, so yeah, happy with that one. And then we have the rectifier here, so I'm going to have a look at it and make sure I get the right rectifier. There seems to be quite a few online, but it has got some markings on there, so I'm going to hunt for exactly the same one and see what happens. Now let's do the same with the transistor, so we can actually pull this up right there. So I'm just going to warm the solder up, take off what I can with the solder sucker, and then heat it up and pull the legs through. Okay, one leg exposed. 2, 3, there we go. So see, the bulk of the solder is off that, so I'm just going to try and warm it up from the other side and then just pull this through. Actually, I'm going to keep warming it from the other side. I don't want to damage any of those circuits there. So I'll grip it from this side and just sort of pinch that up against the board and then heat it up, and that should hopefully just pop out. We shall see. They've got some pressure on it there, pulling that back. That's bloody hot, actually. Cool. Funny that, isn't it, when I got a soldering iron on it? That's a bloody grease on it. It's getting everywhere. Let's wipe that off. Okay, let's try it from this side again. I'm just very conscious not to knacker the board. I don't want solder flowing all over it or causing any problems. Let's try the solder sucker again. See if I can just pull it up with the edge of the screwdriver to save my fingers getting burnt. No, let's do it from this side. Maybe I can just push it down like I did with the rectifier. So touch on the leg. Doesn't matter if it gets hot because we're going to chuck it away anyway. So yeah, on the leg, yeah, and then push it down. See, that's loose now. That's quite fiddly because you need to basically undo all three at the same time, and you can't really pull it out because one or two is always connected. Fiddly. Plan is just to see if I can get one of those pins out because the solder is basically off it. Okay, what I'm going to do, because yeah, my soldering skills aren't exactly amazing, I am actually going to just chop through the legs here. So I've got 3 individual pins sticking out, because the problem I'm having is when I'm undoing one of these, the other 2 is still in, and I can't pull it out. So I am just going to basically cut the legs with a pair of wire cutters. Looks very dramatic. But I just don't want to damage the board by running over it too much. Oh, there we go. So all I've got to do now is very gently heat these up and just push these through, then nothing else is grabbing. So yeah, that's all I could think of. Alright, I reckon a pair of tweezers on the stalk and then just heat the bottom up. Yeah, that's going to do it. Yeah, the bloody leg is not straight on the other side. Maybe I'll pull it from this side. Ah, there we go. It's through. Yeah, there we go. One leg is out. Do the same again. Heat it up. Push it through. That's it. Number 2. See if we can get the last one free. So just heat it up and then it should just go through. There we go. That's it. There we go, that's the last one off. Okay, there we go. So both those bits are out. Taking those out as delicately as my abilities allow there. So hopefully that'll be okay. And then we've got the rectifier down there. 2 for the price of 1. Broken clean in half. and the transistor there. So I'm going to have a quick look around now, get some of those ordered. Then the next step is to put them back in. In the meantime, we're going to be having a very quick look at this gearbox to see if we can sort that out as well. Okay, just to see the first bit of electrical goodie. So one of these things here, I think it's a rectifier, it might be a diode, I really don't know. And basically I've got 10 of them anyway, so we're going to get one of those in. So yeah, I'm not 100% up on electronics. I do actually very little electronic work, and I know sort of a lot of you guys are really knowledgeable about this, and you have been helping me out with this, so I really do appreciate it. So I've just gone through, I've taken a few tips from you guys, and I've matched it up effectively by picture to what I can sort of get off the broken one there. And whatever this is, it seems to be a IN5404. So we're going to put that in, and hopefully we'll have a good result there. Still waiting for the transistor, so what we'll do first is get that one in, get that out of the way. When the transistor turns up, we'll get that one in too. Okay, let's get the mystery chip in. Right, so it needs to be this side there, so the grey bit facing this way. What I'm going to do, it's got the number on there, I'm going to bend the leg so that the number is showing, so that maybe in 20 years time some poor bastard hasn't got to try and work out what the numbers are saying. So yeah, just thinking of the future. Just like that. Nope, too wide. If I make a mess of this, I've got 9 more to try. You know what, I'm going to use a fresh one. Take 2. Yeah, I don't want to run the risk of cracking it. Maybe that's how the other one cracked. Let's try and get these bends right in the first place. Okay, number on the top. You know what? I'm going to get that bend even sharper because that's straining it. It's got to be perfect. Don't want any problems with this, or as few problems as possible, because when I'm going to be asking for some power over 3.5, 4,000 RPM, this is going to give me the answer, and if the bloody chip is hanging out, we can have a problem. Right, even sharper bend on this now. Probably need a pair of needle nose pliers, but they're outside. Okay, good. No, I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to get a pair of pliers on there, very narrow pliers, just to get a really sharp bend on that without stressing that, because I reckon that may well be why that's broken. Let me just get the pliers. Okay, one more time. Nip it there, nice and tight. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Yeah, then I'm not going to fracture the coating there, or whatever it is. Okay. Take 4. Cool. Get my delicate wire cutters, specially made for electronic work, and strictly not the ones that I've been ripping out nails with in my house. Prune the ends off these. Okay, how are we looking? Well, I'd say that's looking mighty fine. Let's get some solder on it and see if I'm still of that opinion in 5 minutes. Oh, bloody bastards fell out. I know what you're thinking. God's gift to the soldering iron. This is when you balls it up. You think, oh yeah, it's got to be good, it's got to be good. You put too much solder on, get it too hot, ruin the joint. Let's turn it over, get a little bit on the other side. It ain't pretty, but hopefully it'll be working. So there we go, that's on there. I'm just waiting for the transistor to turn up now. So that ain't pretty. It's, yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly the best solderer in the world. However, it is in there. It doesn't appear to be crossing any contacts. I mean, as far as I can see, it is connected. It's as good as I'm going to get it anyway. So it either works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, I'll just get another box. But I always consider it is important to have a go. So we'll see. Okay, the transistor's turned up, so we're going to put it on the board this way so that when we turn the board back over, this smooth surface is touching on the case. So it needs to line up. Obviously, you need to put it through those holes there. It needs to line up exactly with that hole, and then a screw will go through that from the other side. I'll just bend that down a little bit, I can always move it down a bit. Yeah, it needs to go in a bit further. Move it in a tiny bit. A bit more. Probably a bit more as well. Okay, that looks about right. Maybe a bit more. What do you think? Tiny, tiny bit. They only sent me one of these, so yeah, I can't balls this one up. I've had my practice. Okay, that looks good. Let's have a look. Okay, so that lines up on the other side of the board there. It's exactly in the middle. So yeah, I have checked the board. It does need to be exactly in the center to go over that screw there. So that looks good. So I'm just going to push those legs as flat as I can and then get a little bit of solder on that and just see what happens. And maybe I'll do it from this side. Yeah, that's probably makes more sense, doesn't it? Gravity can work with me. There you go, let's twist it. Let's get it on a camera. It's what we're all here for. Okay, this time I'm going to try and use hardly any solder. So yeah, as little solder as possible. Let's see how that works out. Let's do it from this side. Perfect. Perfect. Don't want that chip to get hot. Okay, 2. Okay, pressure's on now. The pressure is on. Okay, right. So yeah, I'm not a solderer. I have done this a long time ago at college. The way that it seems to work in here, touch the soldering on right on the base of the stalk, you know, actually right on the bottom of the chip that I'm doing it onto, and then just a little splash of solder and it's drawn straight down actually into the joint. I think on the other one I was, you know, doing it a more clumsy way, but yeah, it does seem to sort of draw itself in there. So yeah, if you're going to have a go, I'd probably do it like that. Yeah, I reckon that'll work. Ever the optimist. Okay, now the legs, I'm just going to do the same thing again and try not to loosen the work I've done on the other side. So let's see. Yeah, touching on the leg, little splash of that. Actually, let me do it from this side, that'll probably work better. It's like a cookery program. This is cooking chips with ST170 restoration. Okay, bit of solder, pop on there. No, not there. Okay, let's get the solder sucker. Not there, mate. You don't want to be there. Whoop, there we go. Gone. Just double check Mr. Chips is okay. So I need to be particularly careful of this one because its outer surround has come off, so I need to make sure there is a connection there. So let's just see if the solder will run down that leg. Yes, it will. There we go. This is a skill. Soldering is like it's like welding. You know, my welding is terrible just through lack of practice, basically lack of opportunity to practice. And the same is true with soldering. Really, it takes I would imagine it takes a while to get the exact method of doing this. I mean, if you're an experienced solder, you'll go through this in literally 2 seconds and it's done and it all looks uniform. It's all the same. But if you've done very little of this like me, it tends to look a little bit scruffy, but it's well worth having a go though. So yeah, I'm not overly bothered about how this looks, but what I am bothered about is that basically everything's at the right height so that these sticking up aren't going to be connecting with this box and causing a short, and also that every single route that is cut out here on the circuit board hasn't got anything crossing over, nothing's going to short out, everything's going to be connected where it is, and you know, to sort of doubly ensure that these connections are actually connecting where they need to go. And if that's the case, then yeah, I'll be happy. Okay, I think we're there. So I'm just going to trim those legs off with my delicate wire cutters, and then I'm going to double check all of that, bring it up to the lights and have a really good look and just be absolutely 100% those circuits going where they should be going. Okay, there we go, it's in. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, the gearbox, as far as I can tell, seems to be okay. So what somebody's done on there, they've tried to stop that spring there from jumping off by putting a big blob of some sort of welding paste around it. That big blob of paste seems to be doing, seems to be having the effect of actually stopping the spring from jumping off. So I reckon that's probably okay. I've seen a few other people, they don't actually attach that, they just make a little groove in the cog end there, and that stops the spring from jumping off. So I reckon, providing that's in the right place when I put the motor back in, that will be okay. Okay, next problem is a broken off screw head there. So that is sort of acting as a guide for the transistor, but what I'm going to do is actually take that out and see if I can either temporarily use one of the case screws or find something else to go in there. So what I'm going to do is just grab it with a pair of wire cutters there. And that should just come undone. So yeah, grab them really tight and just unscrew it. Just be careful not to damage the case. That is coming undone. Don't know how that would have happened actually, it's quite an odd thing to see. If there is supposed to be a screw in there, there'll be a reason for it, and I would like to have it working properly, because I would imagine it needs to be fairly well connected to this case here, because it does get hot and it does need thermal paste on it to, I suppose, just dissipate the heat. Or maybe it's an electrical connection, but I think it's probably more to do with heat. There we go. Okay, so that's quite a fine thread there. So the thread for the screws that keeps the lid on, or the circuit board in, they are a lot thicker there. So what I'm going to do is put it back together and have a look round for this specific thread there, because that needs to be properly pushed up against the case to keep the you know, sort of heat going where it should, and for any connection that it needs. So yeah, I'm going to get another one of these. And then, because I'm not going to be using this for several months, I'll just put it to one side. When I can find one of those, I'll come back, I'll take the lid off again, and just screw that in there through the circuit board, and that'll be that done. Let's put the end of the screw in a bag so we can go and hunt for another one. Okay, let's get some thermal paste on the transistor. No, not too much. Not too much. Okay, and a little bit on here as well. Maybe a bit more. I don't want to go too crazy. He got some thermal paste and he got crazy. Okay, I'm sure that is more than I need, but there we go. Okay, so the gearbox is fine. I'm sure that is working fine, and everything else is done. Oh, I need to clean the little contact actually. Let's do that. So yeah, in here, I just need to make sure those two contacts are clean. Okay, just use whatever you've got available. The only thing I have available to me is a nail file, so I'm just going to very lightly just go in there and just make sure it's clean enough. I mean, this one isn't too bad actually. Probably because it's been broken forever, so it's had no wear. Okay, that's fine. Right, now we're ready. So the gearbox is fine. The motor seems okay, contacts are cleaned, this has been replaced, the transistor, we've got the thermal paste on it, we've changed the mystery chip here, everything seems alright, yeah, nothing seems to be crossing, so let's get it back in, see what happens. So let's drop the motor in. Find its own way in there, and then just get the terminal slotted into the right position. There you go, that sits down there nicely. And yeah, as I mentioned, I will be picking up a proper screw for that when I can, because I think it is important that it is connected properly to the case there. And, you know, just double check that none of these new connections are sticking up too high. We don't want any shorts on the lid. And that's it. Take these screws out. I always put these in here so I don't lose them. And then we need to put the screws back in the circuit board. Just do them up gently at first. Okay, so yeah, that is still to do, but let's get the lid back on now so I don't lose it. There we go. So there we go, that's what I found inside mine. I hope it helps somebody else out. And yeah, that's been repaired to the best of my abilities. So I'm not an expert in soldering or electronics or anything like that, but that was literally just having a go and see what happens. So at the moment, obviously due to the state of the car, I can't actually test it. So all I'm going to do is put it to one side. When the car's up and running again, I'll plug it in and see if it works. If it doesn't work, you know, lost nothing, and I will source another box. But yeah, we might have to wait a few more months to see if it actually works. So yeah, next episode coming soon. I've got, as I said, I've got probably, you know, 40 minutes or so filmed. I'm just going to edit some stuff, and then I need to do a little bit more. Obviously, the weather's a bit on and off at the moment, so yeah, I'll get that out as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you shortly for the next episode.